10864. Station's your final time cue will be with 15 seconds until airtime. Mark, 15 seconds until airtime.
Oregon is going to the Final Four.
The following is a Learfield presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game.
Welcome to Duck Insider.
Man, it feels great to be a Duck. Give it to me, baby. My house. I'm taking it there.
Their competitors, they'll want to put the O on.
Three, got it!
We're going to compete to a standard every day.
The Oregon standard.
Rebound. Up and in. 1 point more to go.
The opportunity to play, put Oregon on your chest, should mean a great deal to you.
Unloads on one into left field. Back toward the wall. Gone!
This program is staged to compete and to win championships.
Oregon wins!
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Better banking, local solutions. Live from the Country Financial Studio, let's talk Oregon athletics.
Rob Moseley coming up. We're going to talk about all things Oregon athletics with Rob. Missy Lombardi, Oregon softball head coach, will be with us live here in the studio shortly because with spring break, that's this week at the University of Oregon, hence some of my questions being spring break oriented this week, so just bear with me. The Ducks have changed up their schedule a little bit. Oregon actually, for softball, practice in the morning, so we adjusted a little bit for Coach Lombardi, and I got to say, it actually ended up working out. You know, sometimes like you get one text, you're like, oh yeah, okay, I can figure that out. Then 5 minutes later, you get a text where you're like, actually, that just solved that problem. So Josh Charlton coming on the show yesterday was perfect. Right? It just worked out. Like things just sometimes they align. You know how else things can align at times? So today is the Jersey Mike's Subs Day of Giving. Jersey Mike's is a sponsor of Oregon Athletics. And when your boss brings you in a sandwich today and says, by the way, like all of this goes towards a great cause, whether it be Make-A-Wish Foundation or whatever your local Jersey Mike's decides to do. And I thought to myself, well, God, that's cool. And also, today is going to be one of the best shows that we're going to do because Scott and I both just ate sandwiches right before we got on the air. I mean, you know, sometimes it just works out for the best. Your Facebook comments and questions, YouTube comments and questions coming up. Also, some thoughts on Tanner Smith and Oregon baseball. This is a really cool time for Duck baseball because I feel like, at least, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe everybody disagrees with me, but any time a player is breaking records, both career records or individual records, individual season, career records, like you start to think about the other names that are on that list, right? Whether it be a career record or maybe it was an individual season where you're like, wow, I remember that person having a great season, and the fact that a new player breaks that individual season record, you know, like I know the old adage is that records are made to be broken, but some records are just really impactful, and a career hits record is one of them. Now, I said this to Eric Rodell yesterday. The record that will never fall in Oregon athletics, believe me, I've thought a lot about this. The record that will never fall in Oregon athletics is hit by pitches in a career in baseball. I think any other record is up for grabs around Oregon athletics. This is a record. Aaron Payne, 73 hit by pitches. I just don't think it's ever going to go down. So if there's one record that Tanner Smith for Duck baseball isn't going to break, it's going to be hit by pitches. But Tanner has just been on an absolute tear lately. And what it's done for me, as I'm saying on the broadcast, and Jordan's been saying on the broadcast, you know, this is who he now has passed for third all time. And, you know, all these names in both the modern era and then for Duck baseball, it really made me think about the longevity and the history of the program, because the Ducks didn't have a team again until 2009-2010, right? Well, there was that period of time. We're talking about 30-plus years, right? From the late 70s through the 80s, 90s, the 2000s. Program comes back in the 2010s. There are names that are in the record book that now Tanner Smith in a career is starting to catch. Those names are players like Guy Krause, right? Like that played in the 70s. And the fact that he's now reminding all of us of that era of Duck baseball, I think, has been a really cool connection. And the fact that it also is happening while Duck baseball is a very offensive-oriented club, it makes you think just how great a record of 30 career home runs is, for example. So Tanner Smith has 26 home runs in his career. 4 more, and he matches the program record. Already the modern era record, right, in the last 13, 14 seasons. But it's given me pause, too, because Mark Wasikowski, he was great about this. During the first pitch dinner heading into this season, one of the things that Waz and I talked about, he wanted to connect those two eras of Oregon baseball. So there was a big effort from the current team to do that. Huge effort from the current team to do that. And what the Ducks did to just sort of bridge that 30-plus year gap, I felt like internally it was a really cool endeavor and a cool thing for someone like me to see, right, who's been around the program and is around some other teams. Then it seems only fitting that this is the season where Tanner Smith is going and breaking all of these records, because now we're reminded of all these great players that have come forward. It's like, you know, somebody like Ryan Healy, who's probably the first real big offensive name for Oregon baseball in the modern era. Well, when Ryan Healy is getting referenced on the broadcast, it's because we're either reminiscing about how good he's been, his career, or it's because Ryan has his name and a slot in the record book and somebody's passing him. And that's a chance for all of us to acknowledge like how great the previous record holder was, but then at the same time we can't help but be in awe of how good, in my opinion, how good the current player is. You know, that's what's made it so much fun for me, at least, looking on and seeing him pass Tanner Smith, that is, names like Gabe Matthews, Kenyon Yovan, Spencer Steer, Mitchell Tolman. You go back to Ryan Healy, Guy Krause. I mean, that's what Tanner's doing right now. And so this weekend, he's cleaning up the National Player of the Week awards. He set the UO all-time career hits record, broke Gabe Matthews' record of 246, now at 255 in his career after a 9-hit weekend. He set an Oregon record for consecutive games with a home run. He hit a home run in each game against Northwestern State, and now 5 straight games dating back to the Washington State series, a 643 average over the weekend with 10 RBI, and he continues to climb the career RBI list. He's just a few shy there. So he passed Sean Chase, who had 25 home runs, with that 26th career home run on Sunday. He's third all-time in career home runs, Tanner Smith is. He's one behind Guy Krause, who I just mentioned, for second, and he's chasing Tom Dodd's all-time record. Tom Dodd played from 1977 to 1979. He's breaking records set by big names in Oregon baseball, and it's cool to see for a guy like that who's such a program-oriented player. It's awesome. And so here's to a great weekend up ahead for Duck baseball. I'm actually going to be on the road with Oregon baseball on Thursday and Friday. The Ducks are traveling tomorrow to Tucson, Arizona is the opponent, 6 o'clock on Friday, and then Saturday at 6 o'clock as well, before Sunday at 1 o'clock. So Jordan Brenner is going to be here in the Country Financial Studio for you. And just now, actually, before we got rolling, the Ducks did their weekly conversation with the media. Mark Wasikowski and pitching coach Jake Angier both met with the media. Jordan will have some details on that for you coming up as we preview that weekend series. And then also, Josh Molaris, a 0 ERA. As a closer, Ducks didn't really have to use him this weekend. That's a good sign. When you don't have to use the guy, usually you're winning a lot of games. Also, Colby Shade, and we had a conversation with Dominic Hellman. And I want to tell you, tomorrow, Jordan will focus on this. I asked Dominic Hellman, a guy who has really been watching Tanner Smith and Oregon baseball since his sophomore year of high school. Well, Dominic Hellman's a freshman. Hit his first career home run this past weekend. And so there's a connection there. So I asked Dominic, like, hey, you see what Tanner's done in his career. For somebody where you're at in your career, what's that like? His answer was great. He says, well, I've really been watching him the last like 4 years. And he goes, I'll be honest, I was a little bit of a fanboy in this moment. Because he was watching Tanner Smith when he was in high school, when he wanted to come to the University of Oregon. He was watching Tanner Smith do what he was doing, and now Tanner sets these records, and Dominic Hellman's in the dugout with him. Like, what a cool connection from a fifth-year senior to a freshman. I mean, just, man, it was awesome to hear that. So Duck Baseball, I think, is feeling pretty good right now, and a lot of good interviews for you coming up here in just a little while. I also do want to mention that men's tennis is in action at noon tomorrow against UC Santa Barbara, and Jordan will have some updates for you, but if you missed our conversation yesterday with Josh Charlton, you don't want to miss it. On demand via YouTube, Godek's Facebook, the OSN podcast, wherever you listen to the show, watch the show. You will want to go to the Student Tennis Center at noon on Thursday and take a long lunch break to root for Josh Charlton and the Oregon men's tennis team. That's been a fun endeavor here moving forward. All right, we're going to get a timeout. When we come back, we're going to talk softball. Rob Moseley's going to join us. We might eat a sandwich. I don't know. Back after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Now's the time to imagine yourself in a new Toyota, like Tundra. Go for a spin, enjoy some off-roading, or build your kids that treehouse you promised them. Hey, they deserve it.
Toyota, let's go places. See your participating Toyota dealer for details. Dealer inventory may vary. Event ends April 4th.
Hey Duck fans, we're all about protecting our home turf here in Eugene. You should do the same for your home with Country Financial Insurance. Most home insurance doesn't account for inflation, but with Country Financial, yours can. If something happens to your home, make sure you can rebuild the same house in the same place. Call a local representative or 866-COUNTRY and get a solid defense for your home. Home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Casualty Insurance Company, or Country Preferred Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois. Property must meet age and condition requirements, which vary by state.
Now's the time to imagine yourself in a new Toyota, like Tundra. Go for a spin, enjoy some off-roading, or build your kids that treehouse you promised them. Hey, they deserve it.
Toyota, let's go places. See your participating Toyota dealer for details. Dealer inventory may vary. Event ends April 4th.
Your daily dose of Oregon athletics. This is Duck Insider from Learfield.
Victor deployed for the first time to Afghanistan in 2003. He sustained a moderate traumatic brain injury. One of the most important elements of caregiving is taking care of yourself.
For many military veteran caregivers, their caregiving journey starts earlier in life and lasts longer. Visit aarp.org/caregiving for a free military veterans guide to navigate your caregiving journey and better care for your loved one and yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
When you're high, you feel different. You think different, you talk different, you draw different, you listen to music different, but you probably knew that. Problem is, you also drive different, and not in a good way. That's why driving high is illegal everywhere. So if you're high, just don't drive. Make a plan to get a sober ride. Because if you feel different, you drive different. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
More Diamond Sports, round ball, spring football. It's spring break. Rob Moseley's here. I'm Joey Mack. It's Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Welcome back to the Country Financial Studio, sir. How are you?
Hey, thanks. Appreciate it. I'm doing. I'm a little hot in here.
Oh,
yeah.
you can turn those down.
Yep.
Yeah,
but we got an enthusiastic host today.
That's what Scott's for.
Yeah.
You know, am I ever not enthusiastic? I guess
sometimes.
Last week I was kind of like, appropriately sad because basketball season was ending.
We all go through the ups and downs.
Yeah. Well, my mission in life is to amp you up. I mean, you've told me that like Wednesday at 1:10, you get really like up for it.
Yeah.
So I'm here for that.
No, I appreciate it.
Okay, I got a few things out of left field for you today. You ready?
Let's go.
Okay, so today is Jersey Mike's Day of Giving, where all of their funds that when they sell sandwiches, they give it to a great cause. What's the sandwich of choice for Rob Moseley and why?
Jersey Mike's?
Just in general.
Oh,
but at Jersey
there
Mike's,
I get the turkey and provolone.
So it matters where you are, what you get.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Okay.
But I am.
He's really worried about his level right now.
I'm generally not the most principled person on the planet.
That surprises me.
I'm a Libra, so I'm constantly looking for balance.
Is that
I
what
tend
that
to see
means?
both sides. It's the scales.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. However,
I did not know that.
and sort of I've always sort of thought as a personal ethos that if I had the stones, I would be a vegetarian.
Oh, okay.
I just think eating meat is problematic.
Yeah.
Ethically.
Okay. All right.
But there's nuance within that.
Okay.
And I, within the last 6 months, have made a very concerted effort to just not eat pork.
Okay.
I think pigs are a higher order than most of the other animals that we eat.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm not going to get a club with bacon on it.
Right.
I used to like ham. I try to stay away from the ham now. Not try to. I mean, I do. I don't get pepperoni pizza anymore. Yeah.
You are a principled man.
In that, I'm trying. We'll see if it sticks.
I feel like you're a principled guy.
Yeah. I mean,
I think you stick to your guns.
Sure. Yeah. I'm not the most disciplined person. Maybe that's a better way to put it. And so I have ideals that I think I should abide by, but then I give myself some wiggle room.
Okay.
You know?
I've learned something.
But I haven't on the pork thing for probably 2-3 months now.
So, we learned something today. You're a turkey and provolone man.
At Jersey Mike's, yes. Yeah, and then other places it'll be turkey and something else. Big turkeys. Turkeys, I feel no guilt about consuming.
Okay.
Chickens, cows.
My sister famously got chased by wild turkeys once.
Yeah.
And ever since then, she thinks turkey tastes a lot better.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I have no doubt. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And
you're a runner. You've probably
by the other side of the coin, when I was in Nicaragua for Courts for Kids, they, for our benefit, slaughtered a pig in front of us for us to consume over the course of a week. And, I just reading about pigs in general, I mean, they're just, again, I think they're just of a higher order than most of the other animals we consume. But I also can't doubt that just the emotional experience of witnessing that animal just slaughtered for my benefit right in front of my eyes changed my point of view.
Man, this really took this was a deep conversation.
Yeah.
I'm here to hype you up, and now I thought sandwiches would be like a hype.
Oh no,
thing,
it's obviously something I'm relatively passionate about. So
clearly, So this has been, this is great. This is what you get on a Wednesday when you get Rob and Joey together. Meanwhile, basketball season, unfortunately, now for both the men and the women has wrapped up. Rob, we are into the off season now for basketball.
You say unfortunately. And I obviously you want to play as long as you can.
Oh, I wanted them both in the Final Four this week.
Yeah, at some point it's going to end, and I think both teams, it was just such a roller coaster that I think for everyone involved there is a little bit of all right, we can move on now. We can put that behind us and try to let as long as the teams were winning, it didn't necessarily feel like you're kind of belaboring things, but on the other hand. You're not winning in the big tournament,
right?
And it was. I think it's all. I think everybody's probably glad to just now. Let's look ahead now, or we can spend a few more minutes looking back.
What would you like to do, Rob?
I can do either one.
No, I'm leaving this one to you.
Yeah.
I'm ready. I'm ready for the Rob.
Well,
takeover.
the problem with looking ahead in this day and age, as we talk about all the time, is it's so unpredictable.
Right.
I mean,
we could be old news in 5 seconds.
Right. We just don't know what because of the portal and the ease of movement now and the comings and goings, and you just don't know what your team's going to look like.
Yeah.
And even 5 years ago, you could very confidently say. These are the veterans that are supposed to be back. These are the freshmen that are supposed to be coming in. And that's probably what the team's going to look like. And now, you basically don't have any sure things when it comes to veterans coming back because you never know what's on a kid's mind. And, the freshmen, obviously the ones that are signed letters of intent you can count on, but also now the portal could bring in transfers that aren't really on our radar. So it's looking ahead is a lot harder, that's for sure.
No doubt. Now I'm going to ask you to do it anyway.
Okay.
Look ahead for us, Rob. What do you think about next year for the men and the women?
We natty, bro.
I love it. No, but you say it's so funny though. Like you say that jokingly, and everyone's been asking me the question that I just asked you, right? Like, even my friends are like, so it's, like what's gonna happen? What's gonna look like? And that is sort of the direction that we all want to go, right? Because the expectation around here is you do want to compete for a championship. That's why you come here.
Tomorrow's opening day for the baseball season, right?
True.
Major League Baseball. And
big optimistic day.
Everybody's hopeful right now.
Yeah, not the A's.
I'm an A's fan, so not them. But I was doing a fantasy draft last night, and one of the other guys is a Washington Nationals fan, and we were sort of joking about just like if those two teams play, like who could name the starting lineups for both teams? Very, very few people. Yeah. They're just awful. But it's still, what the heck? Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe things click.
Hey, a few years ago, the Giants.
Exactly, and the Giants are actually a great example of kind of the point I was going to make about just team chemistry can take you a long way, and it's so ethereal and hard to grasp. But when you hit on it, it can. Again, there was times I think we watched both of our basketball teams this year and thought the sum is less than the whole of the parts.
Agreed.
And chemistry can make the opposite true, that the sum can feel like more than the whole of the parts. And if I think those Giants teams, I don't think anybody would claim those Giants teams were the most talented baseball teams in Major League Baseball in the last 15 years. But they hit on something in their locker room that they just got the most out of their abilities in ways that other teams didn't. And I think both of our basketball teams didn't find that right formula this year. But that doesn't mean they can't going forward, just with a little tweak here or there, a little, different personalities coming in, going out, whatever, things can change quickly. I think, I think particularly on the women's side, which is obviously the side I'm kind of more tuned into, I just still feel like I have so much respect for what Iowa's doing and the level Iowa's reached, because Iowa is basically it got to the Final Four with a team assembled during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And we saw Oregon go through a rebuild right when the pandemic hit, and just how the toll that took.
Great point.
And the fact that Iowa overcame that, and now, there's some silly stat. South Carolina's in the same boat. Like, both of them have, like, majority of starters that have played, like, 90 games together.
Yeah, wow.
And in this era, that's so rare, but there's so much value in just that kind of chemistry together. And so, just to get back to build some continuity and then just find the right formula, it can be done in an off season. And so it's just, there's no reason but to just be hopeful that maybe the right parts will come in on both sides, and suddenly you'll hit on a formula that just worked a bit better than it did this past year.
I think a lot about, like, Coach Altman's teams were built around grad transfers way before the transfer portal was a thing, right? And so it was always, a new face, and then what do you know? It worked, right? Like, they would click, but the most successful teams that he had were the ones where you had starters that played together for like 90 games. Really, the Final Four team, Peyton Pritchard was the only new guy in the rotation on that roster.
Right.
It matters.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I think we, when you look on the men's side with somebody like Nate Biddle saying, he sounds like he's 10 toes in, as the kids say.
That's what they say.
Or 10 toes down. I don't know. I don't even know what the kids say. That's how far I am from being a kid. But we've seen some parts say, they're back in, and I think you look on the women's side, and some of those freshmen looked pretty good, and if they're in the same boat, then there are kind of foundations to build on. I think particularly on the men's side, again, they were kind of ahead of the curve in this portal era.
Yeah.
And so we all got attuned to, hey, wait till February, things will click, they'll be fine. But nobody wants that.
No.
We want people to be excited about our team in November and December and January and have confidence that they're going to be playing good early. And when you have returning veterans, that can be more likely. And so, for as much as it was nice to be able to say, hey, regardless of what's happening, even if there are some early struggles, we can be cautiously optimistic that things are going to click.
Yeah.
It's always more fun when it clicks earlier and you get it rolling. So
I never want to hear the phrase, and I think Coach Altman never wants to utter this phrase again, that we're farther behind than we should be on X date.
Right.
Like, how many times did we hear him say that this year, right? And some of that was injuries.
Yeah.
But some of that was new phase. I mean, all these things matter. That's where I think the offseason, like, there may be, for both of these programs, more of a focus on the offseason from the outsiders than ever. Don't get me wrong. The coaches and student-athletes always value the offseason, right? Like, they know how important that is. But I think, people like you and me even, like, I'm guilty of it. I go from sport to sport and travel with different sports, and then October comes around, and I'm like, hey,
what's
basketball
going on with basketball?
practice.
You're right.
Yeah, like, let's go back to basketball, But, like, the offseason's really valuable, and that's exactly what you're hitting on
here. No doubt about it. I mean, basketball players love to play basketball, and they play.
Well, you hope they do.
Yeah, right. And they play all the time, and for as much as Coach Allman likes to grouse about guys not wanting to be in the gym, I mean, all those guys like playing ball.
Yeah.
Maybe they're not Sabrina Ionescu, Peyton Pritchard breaking into local high school gyms to get in extra shots off hours, but all these guys like to play ball, and so but just these next couple months for both those teams of just getting in and playing together, and again building up that chemistry. Where does this person like the ball? Where do I deliver it to him? What's the timing? If we're on the fast break,
where's their shooting angle?
Right. If we're in a half court, where do they want the ball? Where do they like to set up? Where do they like to? I mean, all those different things. And I'm just pulling that stuff out of thin air. I'm sure they're asking much more advanced questions of themselves, but now's the time to figure all that stuff out.
Yeah. Rob Moseley joining us, editor-in-chief, GoDucks.com. Okay, Tanner Smith.
Yes.
Open floor. Go.
Yeah. I love that kid.
It's so awesome, dude.
What? And then there's sort of a selfish nature to it because as a guy who works in the media sphere, having somebody that you can just roll out and you don't have any fear about any question that could be posed to them.
Yep.
He's going to, pun very much intended, knock it out of the park.
He is a pro.
Yeah, just a mature kid, a heady kid, self-aware kid, sees the big picture, and I just happy for him, to see him achieving all his records, but happy for him too that's happening in the context of winning.
Right. You don't want to be the individual breaking a bunch of records and the team's 0-20.
Exactly. I mean, I think that we've, not that something is top of mind, but I think there are examples of that when that happens, when somebody puts together like a cumulative record but the team's not exactly winning.
Nobody likes that.
Well, heck, you just talked to Josh Charlton the other day, right? I mean,
right.
They're coming this close. They're the Oregon softball team the last 3 weeks. It's like they're going toe-to-toe with all these ranked teams and losing 4-3, every match it seems like.
And if it's the doubles point, it really irks them.
Yeah. But, so Josh is just piling up all these wins over the course of his career, but it's hard to celebrate quite as much when the team's not having success. So,
great point.
He wants as much as anybody for them to be winning duels, while he's also experiencing some personal success. And, getting back to Tanner, I think the fact that, he could produce the way he did this past weekend and have it happen when the team experienced so much success, and hopefully this pitching staff got some confidence that can fuel them going forward, I'm sure it makes it even better.
I said this in the Open yesterday, Rob, and then today, and I think it's going to continue to be a theme for me now that I'm full-time doing every baseball game again. Every time there's records like this and you get the climbing through the record book, it's also a reminder for me that I go look at the names that are in the record book, right? And you sort of remember how great some of those other individuals were in various sports. And Josh even brought it up, like Thomas Laurent, not that long ago. Like, he's breaking records. It's a cool thing, I think, for all of us to sort of look and recognize, like, man, there have been some great athletes. Because here's what sticks out to me, and I'm curious your perspective here. A lot of the career records that exist at the U of O, a lot of them are filled with names on the leaderboard from the last 20 to 25 years.
Yeah.
That's a really amazing thing to think about. You talk about broad-based excellence and success, like, that's it right there.
Yeah, I don't think anybody could deny that. Yeah, basically, the last 25 years or so have been the golden age of Oregon athletics.
And it's no disrespect to, the previous record holders, but that's what's so amazing to me. Like, Tom Dodd's 30 home runs is the career record at Oregon, and he played in the late 70s, you know. But other than that, and Guy Krause, there's not a whole lot of names in the baseball record book. It's really been a lot of success lately, and Tanner's reminding me of all the big names that have played here the last few years.
Does mean you're getting old, too.
Does that mean that?
Yes. You've been around for a while.
Thanks.
Sorry, bro.
No, that's good. Well, wisdom, knowledge, experience.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's what all this is up in here. Wisdom,
That's
knowledge.
right. That's right. I have a huge head, so
Experience.
that's what that is.
I was talking gray hairs.
Oh.
Yeah.
Both.
Right.
Both. Anyway, I just think it's been a cool it's a reminder as all these records, and it happened with basketball too. Like, I was thinking about guys that played, Johnny Lloyd,
Yep.
Like all these names that have played. Like, there have been some great athletes around here, and it's fun to revisit it. Okay, lastly, the theme of the week is it's spring break.
Okay.
And somebody asked me the greatest spring break trip I ever took.
Mm-hmm.
Rob, I could not answer the question. I really did not have like a great spring break trip to answer that question.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm posing it now to everybody to see if I'm just like not a vacationer and I just did it wrong my whole life for the last 30 years, or if maybe like we work in sports and the best spring break runs are when you're with a team doing something in a tournament.
Yeah, I was never a big like go to Shasta guy or anything like that.
Me neither. Did I miss out though?
I don't know if it was exactly spring break, but I might have told you this before. But my best friend in high school, who I've since lost touch with, but he really smart guy. He was a cross country runner. We played in the orchestra together, so we were pretty cool.
Okay,
pretty cool.
What did you play?
I was a cellist.
Oh, do you still play?
No, when I played at U of O for 3 years.
Nice.
I was in the symphony at U.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Why is that not on the GoDucks.com bio?
Well, it's been a while. Basically, as soon as I started working at the Emerald at U of O, I was like, wait, this is what I want to do.
You traded in the cello
There's only
for the
so much,
notebook?
So many hours in a day, yeah.
Okay.
But my high school best friend ended up getting accepted to and going to the Air Force Academy.
Okay.
So like his parents had all this like college savings, and military academies are all paid for. So they were like, you pick a buddy. His grandfather had a fishing boat that was docked in Cabo San Lucas.
Okay. All right.
Mexico. Not like a yacht.
This sounds like Herb Yamanaka's dream.
A fishing boat. Nice, but had some sleeping quarters on it. So it was basically like pick a buddy. You guys will go down to Cabo for like, I don't know, it's probably 3 or 4 nights, and you're gonna just stay on Granddad's fishing boat, which is docked like right there, and hang out and be idiots. And so I was selected to join him on this excursion. I was 17 when I got to Oregon in the fall of 1994, so I was a young 17 for this trip. And it wasn't exactly spring break, but it was like late in our senior year of high school. And how we survived that without dying or getting arrested.
So that's why you've never been a spring break guy.
Maybe it was like, you know what? I got away with it one time. I'm not testing fate again. Yeah.
Huh.
Maybe. Yeah.
Well, I like the answer to that question.
Yeah.
That explains things for me. Yeah, I realized that like one of the best memorable spring breaks I have was a tournament run with men's basketball, right? Like, because that's usually around that time of year. And anyway, I've been asking everybody that question. Thanks for sticking with the theme.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Happy to help.
What did we miss?
I mean, there's a lot going on. Great. I was out of golf the last couple of days.
Yeah, that was cool.
They played great.
Yeah, they did play great.
Yeah.
More updates on that coming up. By the way, Casey Martin's we gotta get Casey Martin in the studio again.
Yeah.
He's
Casey's that dude who he kind of will do like the Dane Alma thing, like you don't want me, man. And then you get him and you're like
20 minutes later. Yeah. No, it's great. And then we'll spend 5 minutes talking about spring football.
Oh, for 5 minutes
off the air.
You're right.
Yeah.
As much time as you got.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. By the way, spring football. Back at it next week.
I know.
Yeah.
Time to get back up early again.
Thanks, dude.
Yeah.
Appreciate the time.
Yeah.
He's Rob Moseley, the editor-in-chief of GoDucks.com. We learned something new every day from Rob. Today, we learned that you traded a cello for a notebook, and every Duck fan is glad that you did.
Yep. So are the listeners of the University of Oregon Symphony Orchestra, because they didn't have to hear me anymore.
Rob said it, not me. When we come back, Coach Lombardi going to talk some Oregon softball with us on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, our all-inclusive event pricing allows us to take care of all of the details while you enjoy your event. Our wedding garden, expansive grounds, ballroom, and meeting rooms can accommodate any size event and come complete with full catering and service staff. From weddings to business and social events, Shadow Hills offers the benefits of a resort atmosphere and the peace of a country setting just minutes from downtown Eugene. For more details, call us today or go to shadowhillsevents.com.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union, onpointcu.com. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Opportunity.
You're listening to Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
To protect his home and family from disaster, Steve used courage, wisdom, and his camera phone.
That should do it.
Way to go, Steve! By simply taking digital pictures of his family's important documents, Steve can always have them stored safely online, no matter when disaster strikes. Learn other simple ways to protect your home and family before a natural disaster at ready.gov. That's ready.gov. A message from FEMA and the Ad Council.
Chris Jakimick. I served in the United States Air Force and I deployed 3 times. Being a veteran, it's interwoven into your DNA, is really the absence of the connection and the purpose that can really drive a lot of veterans to some negative thoughts. For those who are in a suicidal crisis, the window of time to save somebody's life is very short. Our duty is to protect ourselves and protect our families, and one way you can do that is store your weapons safely. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
Back on Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Joey Mack in the Country Financial Studio, live on the air today. Coach Lombardi, straight from practice. Coach, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
You made it.
Yes.
I'm glad. What's the spring break practice schedule like? Because I told everybody on Tuesday, because I had a couple people ask, like, wait, where's Coach Lombardi? Like, this is a routine. I come to Duck Insider on Tuesdays, and I had to say, well, spring break practice changes a little bit, doesn't it?
Yes, we get to practice earlier in the day and let them get out, a little bit earlier, which is nice. Usually typically we get done around 5, so to allow them to get done a little earlier and have the rest of the day, I think goes a long way.
Your group is a morning weight lift, go to class, then practice, right?
Yes, my group likes to get up, they like to go, and they like to get done.
I get that. I understand. So if you had your druthers, would you rather practice in the morning, or is it just how do you figure all that out as a coach?
Yeah, if the weather, if we could depend on the weather to be solid, it'd be nice to practice in the morning. I don't know. I just want to be able to practice when we have everybody there.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of graduate students, so sometimes their classes can be a little tricky for us.
How do you adapt to that? Like, because that happens with every sport. Like, I'll tell you a quick story. Like, Quincy Guerrier, for example, at basketball practice, right? So they just, practice stops because somebody walks in and goes, hey, Quincy, you had class in 8 minutes. And it was lost track. He made it. It was a quick class, but you guys do have to deal with that sometimes.
Yeah, we do. And so there's some days where we have, full-on practice, and other days where we might do, individual hitting, smaller, offensive, time slots, and then come together to do our defense, in that slot that works for everybody. So it's tricky, but it's just part of it.
Speaking of weather, I'm going to ask you a off-the-beaten-path question before we review the weekend. How much does a hail delay impact your preparation for a game, / does it impact you at all?
That was my first time.
Really?
Actually, on, what was it, Saturday. The sun was out. It went away. It started to rain. Then it snowed. Then the sun came out, and then it rained. No, it hailed.
I felt like
I've never seen anything like that before in my life.
So I was at PK Park when this was going on, and I felt like we saw all 4 seasons in the matter of 2 hours.
We did.
So I had to ask you that because I knew that it was you never want to go through a delay, right? Because you go through a warm-up routine for a reason, and then there's a delay, but it can affect you, can't it?
Yeah, and you know what? I would definitely say this. Arnie and his group, they were unreal this weekend. They did such a great job of taking care of our field and knowing when to put the tarp on, and we had a delay on Friday. He was right on it.
I saw that the softball staff had tarped the field before the weather hit PK Park, and so I thought, oh boy, okay, we might be in for one over here. And then it started pouring. That's some next level meteorology.
Yes.
because I'm the first to say to all of my broadcaster friends that are meteorologists, please just hear this and not be mad at me. But you could be wrong every day.
Yes.
And everyone's like, well, you can't predict the weather. But they nailed it this weekend.
They did. They did a really good job just dealing with the weather, but then just also, like, the Jane is beautiful.
Yeah. It is.
Yeah.
Just in a nutshell. Okay. The weekend. General thoughts. Review it for us.
General thoughts. I wanted to get the series. We all wanted to get the series. It is a tough one not to get the series. Big picture, I know these moments and these games that we're playing in. We got the big victory on Friday, which was huge. I know what it's doing for us right now and what it's going to continue to do for us. It's just us finishing out and getting the series.
You're still a top 20 team. I mean, by all the metrics. I don't know how much you look at the polls and the strength of schedule rankings, but the Ducks have the number 1 strength of schedule, number 12 in the RPI. That's the payoff that you're talking about, right?
It is. If we had to go play postseason tomorrow, we would be ready.
Do you talk to the team about that? Or, like, I don't know, how do you approach that mentally as a coach? Like, you're right there.
Yeah, no, for sure, because it's tough. You know, we walked away and every one of us wanted to get that series, and we fell short. And so, small picture, you're upset with that. But big picture, it's like, you guys, we got the number 1 strength give schedule in the country. Yeah. And RPI 12, like right now, if, they were to do postseason right now, we would be one of the top seeds.
Yeah, I was thinking about this too. You and I were talking about earlier this year how, like, you guys lost an opening game, then came back and won 4 in one of your 5-game weekends. Like, that's the regional rehearsal against a few top 25 teams that weekend. That's, I guess it is good warm up, isn't it?
Yeah, we just got to stay with our process. This team has not peaked. We are. There's so much more room. Our ceiling is very high. And so it's just continuing. Yes, 80s was good. And you know what? I wore your neon socks. I should have had somebody take a picture, but I did wear your neon socks, and we got the W.
I like that. Mm-hmm. See, I know my role. It's small, but I contributed the one thing. But, yeah, 80s night was great. And I don't think it's a coincidence that you get the win that night.
Yeah.
That just tracks for me. I did want to ask you about Morgan Scott.
Mm-hmm.
Just a wow performance, really throughout the entire weekend for the most part. What have you seen from her against some of these top tier teams? Seems like she's just getting better and better.
Yep, she's coming into her own. You could see that she is just settling in, knowing. The biggest thing for her is that she just has command over what she's doing. I think earlier in the year she was not working ahead. She would leave the ball over the plate a little bit. And you could see her really work on getting ahead and finishing batters.
Yeah. You're getting contributions from the veterans that I could ask you about every week, like Allie Bunker, like Tara McGowan. The example that they've set for this team, Coach, I mean, what can you say about that? Like, not just from a leadership perspective, but the results that have come in for them with some big hits even this past weekend.
Yeah, they're clutch. They're not the moment doesn't concern them. They embrace the moment. They embrace the moment, and that's what I really love about what they're doing right now.
Even in defeat, I thought the fans at the Jane were great this weekend. The environment was awesome. It worked out well with baseball, playing a couple quick games that I was able to catch the ending a couple times, and you get goosebumps sometimes when you're in there. Just what was it like this weekend?
Our fans are great. We love playing in front of our fans, and we're working our butts off right now because we really want to host and to be able to play in front of our fans. They're a big part of what we do, and we hear them, and we're so thankful for them. So just keep coming out and supporting us and getting after it because it goes a long way.
On that note, like we've talked about how this is 3 straight weekends playing a top 10 opponent, just the way the schedule fell. How big is that idea that here we are sitting in the end of March, first weekend of April coming up. You're talking about hosting. You guys are number 18 in the polls, like right there.
Yeah.
Right? With that in mind, and I say all that to ask this question, how good's the Pac-12?
It's good. It's good every weekend. Every weekend I get the question, or at the beginning of the week, how's so-and-so? And I feel like I just give the exact same answer. The Pac is really, really good. And that's why I think, we're caught up in every weekend and what we're doing, but we got to continue to do that and get better with what we're doing, but then also see big picture as well.
Yeah, I feel like if we're having the conversation about hosting here a month from now, right, it's going to be that's a good thing, right? And
Yeah.
that's what you're aiming for.
Yeah, it's a grind, but we all know what we signed up for. We want to play in the best and play the best in order for us to be the best. So it's just a part of it.
Rivalry series coming up. What can you tell us about the Beavs?
They're good. No, they always have really good pitching. They're pretty explosive at the plate. They're good. They're good like everybody else. So it's, I don't think there's been one game where we could just kind of walk in and think we're going to win and walk away. It's going to be tough, and it's a rivalry series,
Rivalry series is a big deal, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like, I like that coaches and student athletes embrace, like, hey, we know it's a rivalry series. It means something to the fans, means something to the team, too, it feels like.
For sure. It does. Yeah. It does. So we're excited. It's been nice this month to be home.
Yeah.
We're excited to just go 45 minutes down the road and play.
Right.
But yeah, these guys are ready to go. I love how these guys are getting after things. We felt like we had a couple things that we needed to work on from the weekend. We've had some really good practices, and I know they'll be ready to go on Friday.
Was it being spring break sort of like a breath of fresh air? You get to practice earlier in the day. They don't have as many academic commitments. Like how big of a deal is that spring break fell at this point?
I think it's really nice. I think it allows us to do what we need to do practice-wise, but then from there to get done early.
Yeah.
This is their first week where they've had no school.
Right.
So they're not trying to get to tutors or having to study or, get into study groups. They're able just to almost just be an athlete for a week.
Right. Well, I'm kind of curious now that I think about it, especially with the amount that your student athletes are on the road. There's a lot of academic commitment that comes with that too.
Yes, a lot. And our student athletes are student athletes. Like our entire team does really, really in school. They work really, really hard. So we have to have a balance, a really good balance for them. But I love how hard they work in the classroom and how much they take it, how serious they take it. Like they just don't come here just to come here. Like they're very passionate about their schoolwork and their grades.
Getting a degree is a big deal.
Yes, it is a big deal.
It's a huge deal. I do want to mention rivalry series this weekend. Friday at 6, Saturday at 2, Sunday at 3, all on Pac-12 Network. Ryan Milano and his crew from KWVA will be up there as well. Also on Monday, home game against Montana at noon. It's nice to have that extra game on the back end of the weekend.
Yes, it is. And I know we putting a big thing out to everybody, on campus and our athletic department to play a little hooky and come.
I like it.
Come and be a part of it. Join us on Monday.
Yeah,
so
we'll be there.
Great.
That's the plan. Kids 12 and under get in free, by the way. First 100 kids get free cotton candy. I can't qualify for that anymore, but I'm going to try my best. So to John Sargent and the entire concession staff, just set one aside. For that'd be nice. Maybe for Greg Walker. He'd probably want one. Actually, Greg brings up a great point. I can bring the 7-month-old. The 7-month-old
yes.
qualifies, and
go.
then I can eat the cotton candy.
Yes.
He's not ready for the cotton candy yet.
Yeah.
No.
Do it.
Well, then I've been told that's all he'll eat. Like if he tries anything sweet at this point, then it's like, nope, that's it. They're never going to eat anything else. So I don't know. This is the first time I've ever done this. I have no idea what I'm doing.
If you tell him that it's good and he'll like it, he'll like it.
Okay. I like that. Missy Lombardi, Oregon softball head coach. What do we miss, Coach? Anything else you want fans to know?
I think we got it. It's just continued. Like we just love you guys coming out to the Jane and supporting us. Our athletes love it. We love hearing you guys rumble in the stadium, and just excited to continue to get some good weather and just to finish pack out.
I love it. Thanks for coming over for practice.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, Coach. We're going to get a timeout. Missy Lombardi, Oregon softball head coach. Rivalry series up in Corvallis this weekend, Monday at noon. Yeah, I don't think we're going to do Duck and Cider on Monday. Sweet! Scott's thrilled. Cotton candy. Updates on men's golf Duck Invitational when we come back on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union, onpointcu.com. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Opportunity.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, our all-inclusive event pricing allows us to take care of all of the details while you enjoy your event. Our wedding garden, expansive grounds, ballroom, and meeting rooms can accommodate any size event and come complete with full catering and service staff. From weddings to business and social events, Shadow Hills offers the benefits of a resort atmosphere and the peace of a country setting just minutes from downtown Eugene. For more details, call us today or go to shadowhillsevents.com.
More Duck Insider coming up on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
This is your captain. We are going to be experiencing some slight turbulence. Please fasten your... Oh, hold on. Just got a video of my cat.
Imagine the pilot of an airplane was as confident as you are texting and driving. Seems kind of crazy when you put it like that.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Here's a fun fact for you. The average chameleon can point their eyes in 2 different directions. On the other hand, the average human can't. So unless you're a chameleon, there's absolutely no way you can focus on texting and driving at the same time. So don't do it, unless you're a chameleon.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Back on Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Joey Mack in the Country Financial Studio. Your Cafe Yum 2-minute drill on a Wednesday. We're going to drill through some golf updates for you that are significant. Men's golf maintained the lead that it had established over the first 2 rounds to win the 33rd Duck Invitational by 7 strokes Tuesday afternoon at Eugene Country Club. Ducks held a 7-shot edge entering the final round, kept the rest of the field at bay. They closed with a 1-under 284. Ducks won the tournament with a score of 2-under 850. Oregon State was second, followed by number 23 Colorado State. It was the program's second straight win after claiming the Bandon Dudes Championship last week. The rankings have just come out. Oregon men's golf up to number 20 in the ranking. It was also Oregon's first outright win of the Duck Invitational since 2017, actually. Ducks defended their home course at Eugene Country Club. While the team race didn't get close, the individual medalist competition, though, was a lot of fun. It came down to the last hole with Oregon's Nate Stember and Oregon State's Mateo Funmayer ultimately sharing the top prize. I know that the Ducks are like, oh, it's so close. There's that one shot. But either way, an impressive performance. Now for women's golf. 3 members of the Oregon women's golf team are competing on the national stage this week as individuals before the Ducks get back to team competition on Monday at the Silverado Showdown. Senior Brianna Chacon and junior Cynthia Liu are playing at the Augusta National Women's Amateur. It began today, and junior Ching-Soo Chen is set to tee off in the LPGA's DIO Implant LA Open on Thursday. 3 different Ducks playing in these big-time tournaments, and so far, it's been a really, really, really good showing for Brianna Chacon and Cynthia Liu today. Both are tied for 4th at 1-under in the first round, and it sets them up for a chance at making the top 30 after tomorrow's round to make the final cut to play at Augusta National on Saturday. Pretty cool for some individuals for women's golf, isn't it? You know, those 2 programs, like, they're competing in the fall. We give you some updates on them. Then they start competing in the winter. We give you a few updates. Then all of a sudden the spring's here, and I'm like, wow. Teams are, well, they're winning a lot, as Scott says, but also it's like, where did the season go? You know, they compete in these tournaments, and the next thing we know, the Nationals are here. In any case, pretty cool to see that. Your Cafe Yum 2-minute drill, restaurants all throughout Washington and Oregon, menus, nutrition info at cafeyum.com. I'm Joey Mack. I'm headed to Tucson with Duck Baseball. Jordan Brenner's in here with you tomorrow. See ya.
Guys, it's me, Isabella Gomez, filling in for Smokey Bear because he's got more to say than just...
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Like, if you're outside enjoying a barbecue, don't let a hamburger distract you from fire safety. Make sure you aren't dumping your hot coals or ashes onto the ground because that could start a wildfire. So take